What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today, as you guys can kind of tell by the title, today we are going to talk a little bit about my S13. Let me kind of tell you guys why I'm doing this video now. So this is going to be a build breakdown of this S13. And you guys kind of know the car already from previous videos if you've been watching, but we haven't ever really gone into a lot of details about the car. Now, the reason I want to go into that is because I pretty much have driven my last events with this car, and not with this car, with this engine, I should say. So I got a new engine, and I've had it for a while. Some people may know, but I've had this s13 for a while, and
it's been about a year.
Yeah, probably a year, and I've been waiting to put it in, but I kind of told myself that I wasn't ready to swap out the KA until, like, I wanted to drive that bash event that we drove. I wanted to drive that one more time. I drove it last year in the KA, and it was fun and stuff, but I was like, I know I can drive it better, so I wanted to drive it with the KA one more time and just kind of like be the last time that I send it in this KA before I add more power. Anyway, so I want to do a build breakdown just to tell you guys what was in this car, what was done, and then the plans moving forward with what we're pulling out, what we're swapping in, and pretty much everything that's going to go into this car before I get to drive it again. So that's the plan. I don't really have a exact agenda of what we're going to talk about, but we're pretty much going to talk mostly about engine, suspension, and interior, because you guys know the exterior if you've been following along with the paint videos. Okay. This is an S13. So the car is a 1992 240SX S13 hatch. Yeah, I can never remember if it's, because I have a coupe too that we've never really talked about, but my coupe is a 91. Okay, so 92, boom, 92 hatch. When I bought this car, it came with an S14 KA in it, just a stock KA. And I wanted a KA when I was getting into drifting because I wanted to start with a low-powered car. And about 6 months after, the engine started knocking. And kind of sucked because it started knocking like on my birthday. And my buddy Samir, as you guys know from the videos, he's the one who noticed it. We went drifting that morning, and he's like, dude, I hate to say it, but I feel like your engine's like knocking a little bit. And I was like, nah, don't say that. That's not what's going on. Turns out it was knocking. It was knocking. And I ended up deciding to pull it before it blew. So then I had a choice to make. Do I swap in? I didn't own this SR yet, but I was like, do I buy an SR? Do I buy a 2J? Do I buy a 1J? What kind of swap do I want to do? And then talking to some friends, I decided that I was just going to swap in another KA. A bunch of people were like, why would you just swap in another stock, KA? But I'd only been drifting for 6 months, and I really wanted to be a better driver before I just threw, 300-400 horsepower under my foot. So I bought another KA. And I actually got this engine from Luke Anderson from the Eliminate guys. He had this up for sale for a while, and it was fully rebuilt top end, super freshened up, like brand new everything, ARP head studs, Cometic head gasket, all new valves and guides and seals and timing chain and everything. Like, it was all just perfect.
It used to be so nice, and look how you treat it.
It's a little... Luke, if you're seeing this, I'm sorry. She's still pretty under there. There's a nice, beautiful purple powder coat on that valve cover.
Under the layer of dirt.
There's lots of dirt in there now. I keep it pretty clean, but this last event was pretty rough. So anyway, I swapped that in a year and a half ago or so, and just kept driving, and this thing is perfect, man. It had like 185 plus compression every cylinder, pretty healthy. All right, so if you guys aren't familiar with 240s, this is basically the stock engine that comes in an S13 in the States, in America. In Japan, they come with SRs. So it was a pretty easy swap to do because I already had a KA in it. So the swap was super simple, and it just gave me basically super simple seat time for a long time. I rarely ever have issues with this thing, which kind of makes me really reluctant to want to, swap it for an SR, which isn't a bad engine, but SRs notoriously can have issues. They can also notoriously be reliable. I don't know. People have their own, not opinions, it's like experiences, I should say. But anyway, so that's pretty much it for the engine. Nothing special, just a bone stock KA, just healthy. Nothing crazy about the rest of the setup. The cooling system is just probably an eBay radiator, aluminum radiator, 2 Mishimoto fans.
The eBay special intake.
Oh yeah, eBay special intake came with the car too. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so that's engine. Stock transmission. Oh, my clutch. I run originally when I bought it and decided to put a clutch in it just because I had no idea what the life was on the clutch that it had, I bought an Exedi OEM replacement. And it was cool, but it just felt like it wasn't that great. It was brand new, but I don't know, it just didn't feel like the clutch kicks were really doing anything. And that partially could just be because it's a KA, but I don't know. So then my buddy was selling a spec stage 2 clutch for pretty cheap, and it was used, but it came out of a daily driver. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna buy that, throw it in. Have loved it ever since. In fact, I ordered a spec stage 3 clutch for the SR. So spec stage 2 clutch, and then the rear end is what's different. So these come stock with a 4.1 rear end, I want to say, and I put a 4.6 diff in it, so 4.6 final drive in it. So it basically shortens all your gears. Second gear is a lot peppier, I guess, which has helped a lot with low horsepower. Having that extra little kick, in second gear really helps. And a lot of places I drive, I enter in third and drop to second, just because the gearing is shorter, so you can get to third pretty quick.
The 4.6 is out of the front differential, out of the Nissan Xteras.
Yep, Nissan.
You don't know.
Yeah, Nissan Xterra, and they came in some Frontiers. There's like a forum I found with a list of all the different years of Xteras and Frontiers that you can get it out of. We just went to the dismantler, and we bought. I think mine was an Xterra front diff. Pulled it apart, pulled the ring and pinion out with our buddy Evan, swapped it into mine. It's actually pretty easy. We just followed a video from dudes from Offbeat Garage. They have a great video on doing like a shorter gears on the 240. So look that up if you guys are interested. Oh yeah. I have a solid one-piece drive shaft that came on the car, which is great because for the SR that's a pretty good upgrade, and I already have it done. So suspension-wise, I have a pretty basic setup. If this thing will focus. Let's see if we can get in here. Okay, so I just have basic modded stock knuckles. So these are modded by Evan, one of our buddies. He's the one who fixed my wheels, if you guys watched that video. And he basically just does fabrication work and modded arms and stuff like that for drift cars and whatnot. So basically modded knuckle. This is a stock control arm. This lighting's terrible, sorry guys. This spotlight. Kyle's like, oh, let me grab my spotlight. And of course it sucks, because it's the wall. Okay, so control arm is a stock control arm, cut and extended. I want to say it's 1.5 inches, and this was done by our buddy JJ. And then just an adjustable tension rod, nothing special. It looks like an eBay one. It just came on my car. And then I just run longer tie rods. So they're 06 to 08 Nissan Maxima inner tie rods, and actually the same outer tie rod too. So pretty basic suspension setup. It does get a pretty decent amount of angle. The car's off, so I didn't get to turn the steering wheel all the way, but it gets, I'll say it this way, it gets enough angle for anybody. So I don't know the exact degrees, but gets a lot of angle, feels really good, no binding issues or anything like that. And here's the best part. I spent very little money on the entire setup. A lot of guys will spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars, if not more, in the thousands for like full, Wise Fab or full PBM or whatever. And I'm sure those are great, but on a budget, modded knuckles, extended control arms, longer tie rods, adjustable tension rods, all of which you can get for under $400 maybe, $500 maybe. It's not a big price to pay for as much angle and reliability as you get. And it's all stock parts. You know how many tie rods I've bent and just gone to the auto parts store and, bought another one or warranty swapped another one. Super easy that way. Rear suspension, I got rear toe arms and then adjustable upper control arms. Stock lower control arms and stock everything else. And then coils, BCs. Honestly, I really have no complaints against the BCs. They've treated me super well. They're great coils for the price. They're just BCBR stock spring rates. I think it's like 6K, 8K, and that's it. If I end up wanting to buy new coils at some point, I'd probably end up going with BC digressives, the DR series, and just get them custom spec'd. If I ever do that, I don't know, maybe one day. But these are fine for what I do. Let's move to interior. All right, so my interior setup is pretty basic. A lot of this came in the car, actually. So it came with a seat. It's a Sparco. I don't know what kind, but it's kind of a big boy seat, which is good for me. It's mounted straight to the floor, so there's no sliders. You can't adjust it. Luckily, I'm just tall enough for reaching the pedals, but not a lot of friends can drive my car without having to put a pillow behind them. So, hey, not the worst thing in the world. Okay. Steering wheel setup, I have a Momo. This light is so bad, I'm sorry. I have a Momo hub, an NRG quick release, and a Grip Royal steering wheel. Hydro setup is a Willwood bracket, Willwood Master, and it's actually a dual caliper setup. So there's basically two kinds of hydro setups that you can do. You could do a dual caliper standalone setup, or you can do a inline setup. Basically, inline setup means that you tap into your brake lines, and when you pull your handbrake, it locks up your rear calipers. And in a standalone setup like mine, a dual caliper is basically where you have two sets of calipers on each side in the rear. So there's a separate bracket back there. I believe they're GK Tech brackets with Willwood calipers on there, and it runs straight to the handbrake with its own reservoir. So there's pros and cons to both. I guess there's not really that many cons to dual caliper setup other than like things going wrong, leaks. It's harder to bleed them sometimes, but you know, it works great. And it didn't come with that handle setup. It had some cheap like eBay one on there, I think. And I always had issues with it, and I almost like wanted to get rid of the dual caliper setup, and I was like, this sucks. And I had some friends that were like, dude, it's just your like handle setup, the bracket and the handle and stuff. It's cheap, buy a better one. It finally broke on me at an event in Reno, and I went to Summit Racing, and I just bought the handle and the master and everything, and I redid it at the track, and no issues. It's been phenomenal. So, transmission stock. It used to have a short shifter in it before Bash actually, and I ended up putting in a stock shifter. I always heard that short shifters are not the best on like KA and SR transes, so I found it was leaking anyway. So I found my stock one and put a new gasket on it, a new seal or whatever, and it's been good. The throw is a little bit longer, but whatever. This car doesn't have like stock ignition anymore. It's been all rewired when I first bought it. So it's got its ignition, fuel pump, fans, and battery are all on their own switch. The car came with this gauge pod cluster thing in here, and it had 5 gauges in it. A couple of them didn't work. I ended up taking a couple out because I didn't need them. It came with like AFR is the first one. The next one is coolant temp, and then the next one is oil pressure. Passenger seat's a stock S14 seat. I bought a pair of these when I lived in Texas for a super good deal, and I didn't know that they're worth a lot, and I sold the driver's side one for $20 to a friend, and I always kind of regret it because I love the way these seats look, and anytime I find like another one, like a driver's side, people want like over $100 for it, if not more or whatever. So, but I'd love to put a matching pair of these in my coupe. I think it's like an NRG harness bar. I have race quip, pretty old school style, but race quip harnesses on both sides. Also, this thing's like super stripped. So there's no interior. It actually didn't even have carpet when I bought it. I put carpet back in. I don't know how I feel about it now. I might pull it back out, but it's pretty much got like no interior. The dash has been cut, both sides. Like all the trim pieces were gone. Like it didn't come with any door panels or even windows or anything, so I put all that stuff back in. But no headliner, nothing in the back. I got a bunch of crap back there right now, but no interior plastics or trim or anything back there. So what are we changing? Obviously we're doing the SR swap. Interior wise, I'm not changing anything. Adding a couple of gauges. I probably won't, but I might redo where my gauges are, but it's like the dash has been cut right there now, so
I would just keep them in add boost and oil temp.
Yeah, that's probably what I'll do. So I gotta find an oil temp gauge, but that's pretty much that. We'll do the swap. I'm gonna keep the 4.6 diff in the car as well. My buddy Evan says that I might not like it. I still have my stock one, so I'll probably just try both. If I don't like the 4.6 with an SR, I can always just put my stock one back in and then put the 4.6 in my coupe, which is kind of what I want to do because I'm putting the KA in the coupe.
Whoa, KA's not going in the coupe. We got other plans.
Kyle thinks that I'm gonna 2J swap the coupe, which I might. On top of the things that we're gonna do to freshen up the engine, the SR over there, I do want to get this thing pulled out and start cleaning up the engine bay. I want to fix up a couple of things in here, clean it up a little bit, and just kind of see if I can repaint it, maybe make it a little bit nicer. It just looks so dirty. I just feel bad doing another engine swap with such a messed up looking engine bay. All right, so that's the plan. Stay tuned for these coming videos. It's going to be a busy month between... Oh, also guys, if you haven't noticed, our garage is kind of a wreck just from Kyle and Brian moving in and just all the stuff that we have and whatever. So Kyle and I have spent 2 separate days throwing this garage apart and like redoing things. We got a new workbench that we had to make room for.
Yeah, we still got plenty more.
We got a lot to do. So we got plans of putting shelving all up over there so we can get a lot of our parts and all this crap off the ground onto the shelves. So we got garage prep to do. I got engine swap prep to do in here. I got engine swap prep to do over there. Cleaning all this off so we have a good workspace. So we got a lot to do. Gonna be a lot of videos about it. So if you have not subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button, follow along with us. It's gonna be fun. I can't wait to get this SR in here and take this thing out for the first rip because
get ready to party.
I've never drifted anything other than this car, basically, you know? This is my first drift car. This is my first engine. I'm excited for that. A bunch of my friends drive SRs, and it's going to be sick. Are you excited for me to have an SR?
I am.
Kyle should be excited, too, because he's going to help me fix it all the time.
And get it in.
And do the whole swap. Oh, yeah, by the way, if you guys didn't notice this entire video, I cut all my hair off. It's all gone. All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. I know it's just a quick, short one, kind of boring, just talking about the car. And then the next video will be starting on tearing the SR down a little bit so we can start freshening things up. So, like this video, drop a comment, tell me what you guys think about the SR, tell me what you guys think about the plan, tell me what you guys think about my haircut. Thank you for watching. Go subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, and we'll see you guys in a day or two.
Yep, tomorrow.
Later.
See ya.